Within my lifetime, we've gone from, oh my god, Christmas movies, to, oh god, Christmas movies, to, did you know Die Hard's a Christmas movie? To, yes, we know Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Please, stop writing the same article every year. Or if you have to, just write one and then repost it every year with the dates changed, like The Onion does with their mass shooting story. But on the horizon, I see something different stirring. After all, Iron Man 3 is also technically a Christmas movie, and its success led to a temporary rediscovery of the work of screenwriter Shane Black. The fact Shane's also directing the next Predator movie as we speak will hopefully lead to another. To help that along, today we're looking at my favorite Shane Black movie by a wide margin, 1996's Long Kiss Goodnight. Cast your minds back to that bygone era. And if you weren't alive yet, let me paint a picture for you. The most boring presidential campaign in my lifetime is slowly grinding down to a close. Batman Forever is only a year old, and its reputation hasn't suffered from a paint-by-numbers sequel yet. And Shane Black is still the lethal weapon guy in public. In private, he's recovering from the trip through hell on Earth that was apparently making 1993's The Last Boy Scout. So Black's halfway through writing this movie about a super spy getting pulled back in to stop their former boss from staging a false flag terrorist attack. And he realizes, this would work a lot better if the protagonist were a woman. Enter Geena Davis and director Renny Harlin, both of them recovering from the colossal failure of the justly forgotten pirate movie Cutthroat Island. Both were looking to make a movie for reasons other than contractual obligation. Geena wanted to escape the standard career track of the time, which railroaded actress after actress, from TV comedy to feature comedy to romantic comedy to Oscar bait drama to early retirement, lest you spend your 30s and 40s playing some other, younger, hotter person's mom, which is always the pits. Harland wanted to cement himself as an action movie director, and you can see his ambitions all the way back in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. If you can get over that one's place in the decline of its own series in particular, and slasher movies in general. Most horror fans can't. So if that doesn't work for you, you can track down Harlan's first feature, Born American. Or, you can watch one of his action movies that's actually, good. Meet Samantha Kane, then. Small-town teacher with movie amnesia, an 8-year-old girl, a nice enough fiancé. He's kind of a drip, but whatever. She even played Mrs. Claus in the town Christmas parade. And her opening voiceover monologue informs us that she's almost given up trying to find out the person she was in her former life. It's best to live in the present anyway, am I right? Then one night she hits a deer. And personally, I feel like pouring a 40 out for that poor buck. Dude survived both gun and bow season just to get GTA'd by a school teacher. Sam survives the swan dive through her own windshield. But as her black eye fades, the person she used to be begins to reassert herself. And a good thing, too, since an ex-con who caught her Mrs. Claus act on TV escapes from prison and invades her home with a shotgun. She kills him, no problem. But the whole experience is one big fucking freak out all around. So Sam teams with low-rent private eye Mitch Hennessy, played by Samuel L. Jackson, as if you didn't already know, to go on a little Christmas road trip, investigating the only lead they have about her past, a suitcase full of random crap from her former identity's last known address. There's a sniper rifle under all the clothes, along with a postcard and a name, Dr. Nathan Waldman, as played by Brian Cox. Waldman tells Sam that her true name is Charlene Charlie Baltimore, former super spy assassin, working off the books and out of the State Department. She caught a bullet to the back of the head on her last op, hence the movie amnesia, and now her last target, some dude named Daedalus, everybody pronounces it here, but whatever, the guy who didn't fly too close to the sun. The guy whose wax wings actually made it. Yeah? is so concerned about her reemergence that he's got no problem shooting up train stations in the middle of the day. Daedalus, whatever, and his #1 guy, Timothy, have a plan in the works. Something called Operation Honeymoon. And neither they, nor their very high-placed friends, are going to let some Pennsylvania school teacher fuck it up now, not after all the work they've put in. 1996 was also the year after GoldenEye revived the James Bond franchise after one of the longest gaps in 007's history. The Long Kiss Goodnight certainly sounds like an Ian Fleming title, and Charlie has all the Bond signifiers. The preference for vodka, the weaponized sex drive, the disdain for non-spies, including her own civilian identity. And over the course of this film, she learns disdain for her fellow spies and spy masters as well, which is only healthy, and something that the James Bonds continue to struggle with. She's even described with the same phrase M used in GoldenEye, as a relic of the Cold War, the kind of violent agent that's since been purged from our ranks, as her former boss, Mr. Perkins, puts it to the president. And then the most unbelievable thing in this entire fucking movie happens. A sitting president actually has the guts to dress down one of these intelligence community lanyard dicks. You throw this crap in my lap and then ask, where'd all our money go? Well, can you say healthcare? No, President Spradling. I can't. Not unless it also comes packaged with some kind of evil bullshit catch designed specifically to fuck over poor people for the sake of insurance companies who are just gonna give money to both parties anyway to hedge their bets, because that's what they've been doing for 40 fucking years, and yeah. But as Charlie says to Sam's daughter Caitlin, after Caitlin fractures her wrist trying to ice skate, life is pain. Get used to it. I make a distinction between those two characters because I'm an old school Incredible Hulk fan. I know the signs of a split personality that's not really all that split when I see them. And Mitch makes this point halfway through, after a few action scenes have caused Charlie to fully re-emerge. Sam Cain is the super spy's secret lust for normalcy incarnate. A theme that runs through most super spy literature that doesn't go for the meta question of what's even normal anyway. Charlie and Sam initially clash in a desperate bid for self-preservation and identity protection, because both need to go on a fraught action movie journey in order to realize the real truth, that they are both one and the same wonderful person, and therefore their only choice is to merge, form an unstoppable force, and then go fist fight the Fenris Wolf. Mitch Hennessy's got a subtler version of the same deal going on. He's an ex-cop, an ex-dirty cop, no less, who became a PI once he got out of the joint, and has been slumming it ever since, working the usual PI staple of cheating spouses. At the beginning, the case of amnesia chick, as he and his secretary call Sam, is little more than a distraction from the distrust of his ex-wife and the everyday routine of shaking down cheaters. He joins a long line of Shane Black-penned cops and ex-cops who get roped into extraordinary action movie situations, for which they are completely unprepared, and who nevertheless view these extraordinary action movie situations as a form of redemption from their own checkered pasts. Okay, maybe the line isn't all that long. Or maybe it just looks shorter because most of them are either played by Bruce Willis or Mel Gibson. I always preferred Sam Jackson to either of them, frankly. He's always a treat, but Sam Jackson with a Shane Black script behind him is like one of those souped-up nitro-enabled racing cars from The Fast and the Furious. Same could be said for Geena Davis, who usually gets all the best lines in whatever she's in. But make her the protagonist of a Shane Black film and pair her on screen with Sam Jackson, and it's like swimming in a sea of good lines. An embarrassment of good line riches. Their comedic chemistry carries this film. It is literally the best. It's so good, in fact, that a part of me longs for an ongoing series where these two travel the world, stopping false flag terrorist plots, and the worst excesses of the military-industrial complex. But the rest of me knows enough now to recognize that some stories should rightly end. Then again, Mitch Hennessy was apparently supposed to die in the original cut, but some lone anonymous hero in some test screening somewhere apparently stood up and shouted at the screen, "You can't kill Sam Jackson!" This is correct. And history has, of course, borne this person out. In his book on writing, Stephen King identifies this as the worst thing about test screenings. That sometimes they come up with good ideas. And you just never can tell. Personally, I'd say the worst thing about test screenings is that they give paranoid, insecure, money-grubbing movie executives even more of an excuse to butcher whatever film is currently under the knife, but that's just my perspective. I didn't make Maximum Overdrive. Not that this is perfect or anything. Villains are all pretty bland. The elephant in the room, the only really interesting thing about them, and even then only in retrospect, is their villainous plot to bomb Niagara Falls, New York during the town's Christmas Eve parade. We'll blame the Muslims, naturally, Mr. CIA says to Charlie. And if you ever wondered why 9/11 trutherism and the various and sundry other dumbass conspiracy theories have gained such public prominence during our lifetime, well, one reason is it's incredibly easy to find pop culture artifacts that reinforce your favorite conspiracy theory. Especially from the 90s, when, for lack of a better word, mainstream culture discovered all kinds of fucked up weird shit that people actually believe. A novice media critic might thank the X-Files, or Sightings, or Alien Autopsy, or decades of sensationalist bullshit news programs for all this. But of course, those were only reflections of an underlying reality. Vain, or not so vain in the X-Files case, attempts to monetize what was already there. Reality is far weirder than anyone with a straight media job is willing to confront. Even today. Shit, especially today. Jesus Christ. Truth is, the various intelligence agencies that spy on us all the time, every day, for what they say is our own good, didn't even need to orchestrate a false flag terrorist attack to justify their incredible overreach into every aspect of our lives. All they really had to do was be stupid enough to let one happen, which turned out to be absurdly easy because most of them are fucking dumb. And in 2000, the Supreme Court appointed a dyed-in-the-wool dumb president who dutifully ignored all of their memos so he could go golfing and choke on pretzels. These are the dumbasses who rule over us. Too stupid to do their jobs, but just smart and canny enough to take advantage of the chaos their complete and utter failures generate. The rest of us have no recourse, save in the realm of fantasy. That in another dimension, a single working-class mom and the PI she hired managed to defeat all of our inept rulers, with whatever weapons were at hand, and their incredible ability to escape fireballs. Seriously, this is a movie where Geena Davis takes out an entire car full of bad guys by ice skating across a frozen lake, pistol in hand, scoring at least 2 headshots. Why is this not more famous? The easy movie critic answer is because Cutthroat Island left such a bad taste in people's mouths. Same star, same director, year apart. Duh, right? Except I don't know anybody who actually saw Cutthroat Island in the theater or on home video. Hell, even I'd forgotten about it until Lindsay Ellis reviewed it. Christ, that was 5 years ago. Ugh. There was a time above, a time before. We could always blame pro-critics of the time. Roger Ebert called Long Kiss Goodnight, and I quote, a cinematic comic book. unquote, wasting a good phrase at least 10 years before he'd really need it. Not that he knew. How could he have known at the time? Quote, the target audience is apparently 14-year-old boys, 13 at the time, but whatever, and those who have not forgotten how to think like 14-year-old boys. Unquote. Roger, you poor cloistered bastard, I miss you. Damn it. These days, it's nothing but neo-fascists on one hand and the fair-weather Frederick Worthams on the other. It's frankly irritating. At least when Ebert was wrong, he was wrong because he had no fucking clue how bad things actually were out there in the world. Especially for those of us who didn't have TV shows or live in Chicago. Like those 14-year-olds he mentioned. At the time, they were all home watching Happy fucking Gilmore. And you see what horrors flowed from that. Ugh. A few of us were trying to get our friends to watch this weird random ghost movie called The Frighteners, insisting that the guy who directed it, some New Zealander named Jackson, was actually going places. But we were getting nothing but grief for it, because of course nobody listens to critics. Whatever our stature. Oh, Jackson? You mean like Michael and Janet? No, like he directed the grossest zombie movie you've never fucking heard of. It's called Dead Alive. I dare you to watch it. Ugh, zombies. Boring. But the world has pretty obviously turned a bit since then. So maybe it's finally time for the long kiss goodnight to get the love it justly deserves. Show it to your friends this Christmas, with at least one critic's blessing. For whatever that's worth. Or, you could just watch Die Hard again. It's still good.